Kellogg's Rice Krispies at 10 years old. I was the national spokesperson for Levi's at 15, Milk at 16. I grew up on a show called The Wonder Years, did the pilot in the first 2 seasons of that show. And I can go on and on about the work that I've done, but at around 16 years old, I met a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Sanger. Jonathan's first movie was The Elephant Man, 8 Academy Award nominations, won the British Academy Award for Best Picture. I started working for him right away when I was 16. Even though I had been a fairly accomplished young actor, I was now behind the camera and I was starting from scratch. So I was yes sir, no sir, picking up the dry cleaning, getting bags of ice, running coffee, whatever I needed to do because I wanted to learn filmmaking from behind the camera. I saw friends of mine that were like in their 50s still going up and auditioning for parts in movies, standing in line, hat in hand, hoping someone's going to pick them. And I was like, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be in more control of my own destiny. So I worked with Jonathan. Jonathan went on to produce The Producers with Mel Brooks, Vanilla Sky for Tom Cruise. He and Tom got along so swimmingly on the set of Vanilla Sky that Tom asked him to become the president of his company, Cruise Wagner. And they went on to conceive of and launch the Mission Impossible franchise together. We made independent films and big studio films and everywhere in between. Anybody that was ever, all the Academy Award-winning actors, we've either known them or worked with them or started projects together. But one of the interesting things about television and film as it's evolved and changed is that we've seen that George Lucas made his millions in the movie business, but he made his billions because his movies were big commercials for his real product, which is merchandise. We saw that people were skipping the ads, TiVo and DVR, and we saw that if you could tell a compelling story and illustrate a narrative that was about something, that the movie or the film could be the commercial also, as long as it's organic and true, not some cheesy sort of marketing push, but a real story that actually happened to also include an element of business. We saw that with Castaway and how Tom Hanks made a movie called Castaway. Federal Express was woven into the storytelling process of the film. And when we met Bill, I was like, this guy is really a difference maker. Not just when you're like, a young entrepreneur starting out, startup businesses. Every film is a startup. You have to start up a new movie every time. So it's like every single time we're doing another startup. But also when you're operating at the top of the game, we make $900 million on Mission Impossible 2. But when I saw Bill, I was like, gosh, there's things that he's saying that I know, but I don't do that. And I was like, even at the highest level, like he says, you continue to sharpen the axe, no matter how successful you are. Continued education, continued, staying on top of your game. Because there's things, even when years ago when I taught an acting class, I would teach my students and I'd be like, as I was saying something was coming out of my mouth, I'd be like, God, I should be doing more of that myself. And I would tell my students, I said, by allowing me to teach you, you're teaching me far more than I'm ever going to teach you. And they may have not known what I was talking about at the time, because there were a bunch of actors that didn't even have their SAG cards, and I was teaching young, actors that were just starting out. But really, the gift that I received from teaching was so much more than any of my students probably ever got from me. When I was 28 years old, I was directing a movie with Christopher Walken and Chaz Palminteri and Rod Steiger in his last film before he passed away. It was called Pool Hall Junkies. And at the end of that film, I collapsed and they found a huge tumor in my kidney about the size of a football. And the doctor said I had 2 weeks to live. I should call my lawyer, call my family, get my affairs in order. So I immediately said, okay, you're no longer my doctor. I need to give me some doctor in here that says I got a shot. It's 1 in a million. I don't care if it's 1 out of a billion. Just give me a shot. I don't care. Don't just tell me I got a death sentence. And that was 17 years ago or so, and 18 years ago. And so I set on a journey to study everything I could learn about Western medicine. And then when I didn't find the answers to anything that was curative, Most of it was pharmacologically driven, and so they just wanted to put me on a bunch of drugs, chemo. I didn't have a chemotherapy deficiency. I wasn't deficient in chemotherapy, so I was like, well, what am I supposed to do to get this thing? I don't have any of the organs on this side of my body. I only have organs on this side of my body because when they took the tumor out, they took all my organs with it. It had attached everything over there. And I went on this journey to study alternative healthcare modalities. I studied microbiology and physiology and biochemistry and a bunch of stuff. And now, literally, almost all of the money that I make in the movie business, I pour into research and development for alternative healthcare modalities that are actually curative. And we pay for most people, people that we see are from a referral or have already exhausted all their resources. So we just pay for their healthcare ourselves. We just, our team just does it because it's. I wouldn't be here if other people didn't care enough to go out of their way and do something for someone that they never knew from a can of paint, and gave of their time and gave of their care. It's one of the really interesting things about Bill is like, he gives you his cell phone number. He's not some guy that like gives you his card. I'm like this guy, and I watched him over the course of our friendship. I watched him how engaged he is, how much he actually really cares. And I saw probably over 1,000 doctors over the 16 years that I was fighting cancer, and I could probably name 4 or 5 that actually were worth a shit or gave a damn about me. They weren't just having one foot out the door and trying to make a Mercedes payment or something, but actually cared. And the number of people that actually care about you in your life, the people that think about you, your real friends don't have to worry about a thing. They give you the better piece of, when the food comes to the table, they give you the better piece. They take the lesser piece because they care. You watch the little tiny things. Bill, from time to time, call me up and say, like, you haven't eaten yet, have you? It's like 11:30 at night. I've been working for 22 hours, and he's like, I'm bringing some food over to your office. I'm just going to drop it off. So you guys are, whether you and I've attended, me and my whole team attended the His Rainmaker program recently in Las Vegas, and it was just incredibly valuable. If you have a chance to spend time with him, both in a business setting or heaven forbid you should have a chance to have a personal relationship with him. Just an incredible person, and I'm just lucky to be his friend. We're going down to St. Martin tomorrow. Developed a couple of television shows that we're going to be featuring. Bill's been kind enough to lend his name and his insight into some. Everybody's trying to come up with these Shark Tanky type spin-off shows, but real business consulting. I hate train wreck reality television. Have you seen these things where people they leave Shark Tank crying, they feel like an idiot, because they just they ridicule them and they make them feel less than. That's like 95% of reality television. And like 5% is like Extreme Home Makeover, where it's warm and fuzzy and it's feel good and it makes people feel like the whole community gets behind somebody. So when we create reality television, because we do mostly scripted, big, $100, $200 million projects, but when we're talking about creating reality television, we want to create stuff where the person actually grows. And if he pitches an idea and his company's not good enough yet, well then send him to Bill Walsh, put him in the incubator, have him restructure his company and re-pitch it again once he's had a chance to go through a program and boot camp his whole team so that company has a chance to be successful. And so we're creating a couple of shows, one in Philadelphia and one down in St. Martin, where we're going to be able to integrate some of Bill's insights and help these young startups have a chance for success. So anyway, that's a little bit about what we do. And
maybe you could just mention a little bit about how important brand placement is and how you guys have built a whole business around placing brands inside of shows.
Sure.
And then there's opportunities for people to either be investors, be a part of shows, place products.
Yeah, so we left Paramount we hung our own shingle maybe 2 years ago. This started at the beginning of our 3rd year, with the idea that the future of distribution was direct to the consumer. We saw that Warby Parker and Dollar Shave Club were very successful companies by eliminating the middleman, all that high markup. We made movies at Paramount that were hundreds of millions of dollars, but we could make, an incredible movie for $15 to $30 million. We didn't have to spend $200 million. We make it even a good movie for $5 or $10 million. And so independent film was so much more cost efficient. And when we were at Paramount, BMW paid us $40 million to have Tom Cruise drive a BMW and one of the Mission Impossible movies. But what BMW didn't realize was that the entire budget was $120 million. So for $40 million, they could have owned a third of the negative. They could have been an equity participant. And so what we do is sometimes we'll find companies and we'll, have you seen the show called Entourage?
Yes.
And so Mark Cuban acquires a tequila company that Turtle is developing called Avion Tequila. Well, that was a fictitious tequila company, right? It was just an idea in Doug Ellen's head when he was writing the script. But because they had this TV show that was marketing and promoting and adding third-party affirmation and confirmation from people like Mark Cuban to this fictitious tequila company, somebody smart went and built a brick-and-mortar real tequila company called Avion Tequila, and they sold it for $200 million. So the power of the lens. I mean, we did an economic impact analysis of the Ozarks after the show Ozark was successful, and hundreds of millions of dollars have poured in to the Ozarks in tourist money from people that are just curious. Oh, I never even knew. I don't know anything about the Ozarks. Let's go there on vacation, huh? Because we saw it in the show. So the power of the lens and the power of integrating real estate, products, brands, ticker symbols. It's really interesting. We're really going to test the waters here because our Securities Council has informed us that there's a loophole that we can actually make a fictitious television series where the booming cannabis industry it's an $80 billion a year industry that can't advertise legally. But we can have a fictitious television series where Mark Cuban can be on the phone going, "Get me 200,000 shares of Tilray," and keep it quiet. And that can be part of the dialogue, and that's totally legal. So we've seen what GameStop and Reddit have done to companies like, what Robinhood and Reddit have done for companies like GameStop, and how that kind of influence has affected public markets. So we're really going to take advantage of this in our platform. Our company goes public this year. Our IPO is a monster. We're building a platform sort of the best of Netflix meets the best of Instagram, and where every one of you can have your own channel on our platform, can monetize to your own clients, can promote your own products, anywhere from a dentist who says, "Hi, I'm Bob Smith. I'm dentist here in Phoenix, Arizona for the last 20 years, and we've been so successful that we give back about 10-15% of our work we do to people who can't afford dentistry. So today we're going to give," and you can shoot this with your phone. You know what I mean? You have your phone out, and you're like, here with little Sarah, who's got a cleft palate, and we're giving her a beautiful smile today for the first time. And you can actually you can have your own channel, your own television channel with for the cost of what you shoot on your phone. All the way down to network marketing companies that have people that say, "Hi, I'm Susie Cream Cheese here today. I'm here with Bob Smith. Bob has been suffering from type 2 diabetes for the last 12 years, but he's been on our product, our A1C product for the last 6 months. Bob, how's your A1C? Oh my gosh, it's great. It's a new lease online, great. Tune into this channel in about an hour. I'm going to be with Joe Schmo. He's got arthritis, and he's been taking on. We'll see what happens with Joe. Tune in about an hour. We'll be live with Joe." Live streaming channels are going to be on our platform that allow anybody from small businesses to big influencers to content creators to TikTok to little emerging independent filmmakers, but everybody can have their own channel and monetize their own content directly. Our company's going IPO, so if you want to, if you ever have an inkling of getting involved in the ground floor or something like that, you can talk to me or Bill. And that's how products and businesses can be woven into the storyline and the narrative of content and have it be really effective. Because everybody knows when they're being sold, right? Everybody knows when they're being marketed to. It's very heavy-handed, so we do it organically in a very natural fashion, where the story is also illustrates the business model as well. So.
Give him a round of applause,
All
yes.
right.